Yo, welcome to another video today about how to create fully customizable reports automatically from Airtable. Something that really elevates your Airtable game is knowing how to automatically link between tables. So a lot of people struggle with having data in a table like this task table, for instance, here, and now you want to go one level up in a way in order to summarize data from the records in this table. So in our case, we want to produce reports, for instance. We want to take certain tasks in this case and want to include them in a report. And that, if you want to do that automatically and you don't want to sort of click and link every task for your report, then you have to do that automatically in the background. And in today's video, we see how to do that. And then we want to use this document template here, for which we use DocsAutomator, which is my document automation tool. Please check it out in the description below. And we want to produce a table of those tasks and produce this is a monthly report. In this case, over those tasks, we write a description as well. And so basically we look at how that is done. This is a code along, struggle along kind of video. So very unscripted. I basically stopped doing scripted videos, so I don't want to really do that anymore because I kind of feel like it's much better and brings more value if it's sort of the raw, just you see me doing mistakes, you see me figuring things out kind of content. Like when I learned to code, for instance, like I used to go on YouTube and used to follow coding YouTubers and used to watch their videos. And what I found really valuable always is if I would see that someone else is struggling and doesn't know everything. And sometimes these videos, they look like as if like the expert doesn't make any mistake, right, and is always just right and always gets it right. And that's totally not the case. Like anyone is struggling, anyone who's writing code like we do a little bit in this video is gonna fuck things up and basically like run into errors that you don't understand right away. So potentially you see me running into these types of errors. But now, without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started, please check out the upcoming scripting course that you find in the description below. I'm recording everything I've learned over the years in Airtable scripting. And if you're into that and if you want to elevate your Airtable game that way, then that's highly, highly recommended. It's launching soon. I'm a bit delayed currently, but should get that online relatively soon, hopefully. Maybe you're asking yourself, does it even make sense to learn scripting anymore? Like, isn't that something that AI now does for us? And I think it's a really, really relevant question. And my take on it is that you should totally use AI for writing scripts and for getting scripts written for you. It's like an immense help. But the combination of knowing what's happening, like knowing, for instance, how in this video we look at the Airtable scripting API, how that works in combination with ChatGPT or with Gemini or whatever AI you're using is even more powerful. Because at this point in February 2024, AI is not producing perfect content, perfect code, right? The code that is produced has flaws, will have to be debugged, hallucinates, right? Like the AI hallucinates. So sometimes you get really random stuff where you need to know right away, oh no, this is not right. Right? This is not actually a method that exists on that API, for instance. Anyways, so that's sort of my take on AI. You should totally use it. I use it all the time for writing scripts, especially for simple ones. It's near perfect, or it can be really really good. And it really elevates your game. But knowing what's going on is in combination with AI is even better. So that's why I think it still makes sense to offer a scripting course, for instance, in 2024. And you find, as I said before, the link to that course in the description below. But now let's get into today's video. Sorry for that long rant. So what we want to do is we want to create this report of tasks. And I basically have a tasks table here, and then I create a reports table. because we need a separate table in order to sort of go one level higher. And you see that linked field here, the task field. And this is where I'm adding all the tasks from here that I need in for my report. So now we need to define what kind of report we want to create. We want to create a monthly report. So how do we do that? We create a view. Like that's at least would be my approach now, is to create a view with the records that we want to print in that report. So for instance, we say tasks this month. And then we only want to take those that are, for instance, no, let's not take those that are, let's say take those that have a start date within this calendar month. So now this is recorded in February, so we would get all the February records in this view. So now the question is, how do we get all these records linked to a report record, right? And I want to use a scripting extension for this. So I think it still makes sense to use scripting extensions. I really like them. Also in times of Airtable interfaces, because currently all extensions are not connected to Airtable interfaces. So there's a huge disconnect within the platform. But basically, scripting extension gives us an interface and gives us a few ways of, for instance, selecting the view that we want to link from. So what we want to do in the end is we want to select this view, and we want to say all of those records in that view, just link them to a report record, right? So that needs to be created here. And of course, like we could do this in interface, like create a new report record, then have an automation that is triggered, for instance, when a new record is created in the reports table, and then automatically just link, like have a script, right, that is sort of predefined which tasks shall be linked. For instance, in this case, tasks this month, right? We could either also there select from this particular view, or we could like select this based on the date. But it's much nicer to be able to select the view here. So we could have 10 different views. We could create 10 different task reports, tasks this year, tasks today, tasks this month, etc. We just create different views for that, and then the scripting extension, let me just add this here. The scripting extension gives us basically a view picker, so we can check the API here, and here we have this input view sync. So we have certain inputs we can get from the user here, and we can select a view based on our table, which is pretty cool, because then we can just very flexibly define sort of what we want to add. In general, I think the scripting extension is highly underutilized in the Airtable world. You can basically build entire small apps inside of your Airtable base with the scripting extension. And in times of interfaces, I think it's still viable for more technical users. So anyone who's sort of operating on the data layer in Airtable, for instance, creating these reports might be done by an admin, or like someone who's more familiar sort of with the data layout in general. Basically, the old Airtable world. Then I think the scripting extension makes a lot of sense still. And yeah, I'm secretly hoping always that Airtable sort of builds these extensions out, builds the extension out, builds the API further out. I don't think that's necessarily happening, to be honest, but I'm still hoping in a way. Anyways, so we want to write our script. So we call this create report. And let's get started. So the first thing we kind of want is we want to ask the, let's give this a name. We can, it's just Markdown, so we can use Markdown syntax and just create a headline here. Let's call this create report. Just looks a bit nicer when it has a headline on the right. And the first thing we want is we want to pick a view. So let's call this create task report and pick view. I'm not commenting on everything I'm doing here, just a few things. Like for instance, this is now common in JavaScript. We want to say const view is input.viewAsync. And then the viewAsync, you can always check the documentation down here, and I have to do that as well. Gets a label. So for instance, please pick a view, like this is what the user sees. And then we need a table instance, a table name, or table ID. So the first thing we need to do here is we need to grab our views table, which is base.getTable, and then table, sorry, not views table. And then it's tasks, and then we can add this here. And if we use this now we get this sort of nice view picker here. And sorry, I need to await this. And then we get this nice view picker here on the right, where we can select. Sorry, I just see you not seeing the drop down, but I can sort of select all the views that I have in my table. Exactly. So in our case, we want to take task this month. Now we want to get the records. Get records from view. So we say const records. Await task table dot select records async. So this is select records. There's also select record singular, but we want to select multiple records. This basically would give us now all the records in that task table, which we don't want. I think there is view select records async. Exactly, that's what we want. And then we say the result.records. These select records async methods give us two arrays back, two lists of things, a list of record IDs and the list of the record instances themselves. So we're just interested in the records. And sorry, I have a typo here. So in our case, we select that view and then we say next, and there we go. We get sort of all the 11 tasks we have here in our view. Perfect. So, and now we want to create new report. And I think what would be cool is to set the name and description right away here in the scripting extension. And then you're going to see what I mean with you can build like a little app basically here inside of your Airtable table. So we call this const report name, right? And then we can say input.textAsync, please define a name. I think there's nothing else needed, exactly just the label. And then report description, input.textAsync, please give a description for this report. And in our template, you see that we're adding this here. And sorry, I also need to give this title here. Let's call this name. Just in case this is sort of unique, we can sort of pass the unique name and pass this unique description here. And now we want to actually create this record. So for that, we need the reports table. So you always need sort of a table to select records on it, to you saw select a view on it, to create a record in it, etc. So we always need the table instance to do something like that. So base get table reports. And now we can actually say await reports table dot create record singular, right? And here you give see, this is where I'm also struggling sometimes between sort of singular create record and create records. But here we're giving now in this object that we're passing the key, which is the name or ID of a field, and then the value that we want to pass. And certain fields only accept certain values, and you're going to see this in the documentation here. Basically, cell values and field options. So here you have a long list of what's possible depending on the Airtable field you are targeting. In our case, we would definitely want to add the name, the description, then our tasks, of course, and yeah, that's it basically. So name is report name. This is user defined. Description is report description, and us. It's not assignable. Yes, that is true. So it basically says the promise there is not assignable, and this is correct because we haven't awaited. So now this goes away. And now task is a linked field, right? We're linking there to the task table. And here we could just pass the text, excuse me, just the text that was defined, just a string, basically, as it's called in programming speak. But here we need a list of objects. And a list is an array, like in square brackets. And then it sort of gets these kinds of objects in here, right? But we basically want to pass the records that we got from our view. And potentially we can just pass the records here. This should work because it is already an array. It has an ID, it has the name, so this could work. Let's do it. Next, please define a name, monthly report February. Of course, I could automate this as well. This is going to be a great month. And it worked. There we go. These are all of our linked tasks now on this report record. Perfect. Basically, you saw me struggling here because I wasn't really sure what do we have still again already. But good thing is, like, basically this select records to sync and then these records, that is already exactly what the linked field wants. And so we could just pass this variable here one-to-one, and it just worked because it has sort of the syntax already that is required. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to actually create the document using DocsAutomator. And the way we do that is we need to let DocsAutomator know that we want to create that record. But first we have to define this in our DocsAutomator account. So I go on new automation. We call this what? And then we need to add here our template. We just add the URL. All of these settings I leave for now. And then we are in the invoices space. No, sorry, I just need to set my permissions here so they actually include the project management table that we were just working on. Now we should be able to select this. Yes. And let me delete this again. Sorry for that. Port. Not ClickUp, Airtable. Take this one. And then project management is our base. The primary table is reports. So this is where we are creating our reports from. And then we need to define a document name, which is just the name. That's good. The attachment field, that's why I created an attachment field here already, because that's where we are saving the PDF, the created PDF. We're missing our month record. The month record, that's a good question. We could maybe grab the month record from the tasks. So if we call this month, and we take a roll up and use the start date, and exactly we take the unique value. Then we're gonna get a nice timestamp here. If we take, I never know whether I can use month here. Always forget. Potentially we can. No, error. That's not good. Potentially because this isn't a date. Is it a date? Not sure. Let me call this month text. Still get an error. Now I see why. Because we have not really unique values here. No, I know what we do. Sorry. What we do is we grab the month from here, add a formula, and then month on the start. So this gives us a 2 now, and now we can actually grab the unique value on the month, and then we should get 1. Yes, that's good. We can also get the year. Year on start. And we duplicate this. We call this year values. There we go. And then we say, I don't know, call this date text month over year. And that's what we use. And there are definitely more ways. Like we could turn this into February as well. But yeah, let's leave it like that for now. So I refresh here in DocsAutomator, and for month I take the date text, but let's actually not call it month. Let's actually call it date. Oh, you know what? We call it month. There we go. Let's just call it month, and let's leave it like that. So then name, then description. I'm just mapping the fields here, and then I'm getting this option of linking something here. So this refers to this line items table here. And here I basically take the task table, and then I could select, I could define a view here to only print from a certain view, basically. But this only refers to linked records. So this only refers to records that are linked on my reports table here on my main record, so to speak. But I could select the task this month view here, for instance, which I don't want to do now, because I want to use the grid view so we have access to all the tasks in here. But if I would select a certain view here, then it would further limit the linked records to whatever is in that view. In our case, it's the same, but it will also maintain the sorting order of that view. In our case, we just use grid view to get access to all the views, to all the task records in that table. And then I'm just mapping the data. So we need the task itself, which is called task, and then the start date, and then the deadline, and then the assignee, and then we have an is overdue. How's it called? Is overdue. There we go. Now everything's mapped, and we can create a preview of this on the right side, just to see how it looks like when it comes out. And you can, in DocsAutomator, you can create like an unlimited amount of previews. There we go. And it looks okay-ish. We can definitely change the formatting. We can change the font here. Make this bold, for instance. Give this a bit more padding, right? So like in our table settings, we would actually add a bit of padding here, so they're not so tight to the borders. The assignee didn't work. That is because the field is not supported probably currently. Okay. Yeah. So here we would need to, for instance, take a formula field and then just say assignee, which gives us the name now. And then in our mapping, we change the assignee field to the assignee name. If I regenerate this now, then we get the name, at least for those tasks where there is a name here. And yeah, now let me expand this. There we go. So we now actually get the name here. We for sure should make this a bit bigger. There we go. Yeah, and then let's take the script and let's add this to our scripting extension. So we can actually just grab this script where it's already called scripting extension. We copy this. We go into our extension. We say once sort of this is done, create new report. We can say create document. Let me also say create new report, including linking of tasks. And then we say create document. I just paste what I got from DocsAutomator here, which already has my API key. Please don't try to use this one. I'm just going to change this after the video. And then it passes a record ID. But that is not really what we want in this case, because as you can see, sort of it creates the table again and selects a record again, and that's not really, we don't want to pick that record again because we already know that record, right? And the record comes back from this record creation here. So we can actually call this record. Let's make this a bit clearer, report record. And then we can say if report record, then please do this. And then we're passing here report record not.id, like basically the return of the create record async is already the ID. And this we can just pass here, and then the document would be created and saved, hopefully, into our field. Let's try the entire flow. Let me delete this one and let's create our February report. Define a name, February report. Please give a description. Oh, this is going to be a great month. Next. So the record has already been created now, but you see the script is not finished. It's sort of sending the request now to DocsAutomator. And then we hopefully get that response back. We should see a PDF stored then here in that attachment field in a second. There we go. So now we get sort of our report that we created with the name and the description, everything we put in before. And this can be extended in whatever way you want, right? So you can not only link one table, you can link 10 tables to a report here with records. You would just have to extend the script. And you would have to change the DocsAutomator template then to be able to handle multiple line item tables. In this case, there's a bit of a different syntax for that, although that might change soon. Or it will change soon actually, depending on when you're watching this, of course. And then you can really extend this to whatever use case you have, right? You change your template, you include a header, you include a footer, you include whatever you need. You roll up data here on your report record. You can ask the user to input other details here. You can, as I said, select the view, so you can do this for task today, task this year, etc. So there's a lot of flexibility that comes with this. And basically the code, and you can grab the code snippet here from the description below. The code is straightforward. It's really not that complicated. It just consists of a few methods on the base, on tables, selecting the view, selecting the records, storing them in variables and passing them properly. But for a use case like this, is really not a lot. And sort of familiarizing yourself with like working with automatically adding linked records in a different table. So what like manually we would have to have selected all of these tasks manually, right? Which is really not that nice. Or you would sort of limit this to a certain view, but then it's also not flexible in a way. So you're always bound to that view, right? So it's not really you can do this much more flexibly by automating this. And in this case, it's only been 11 records, but if it's 250 records, then this is actually going to take quite a long time. I mean, there's sort of certain front end hacks, right, where you go then in the task table and you have sort of one report here, and you would go ahead and basically grab this and just do this, right? And this would link all of them again. Like there are these front end hacks, and they also work to some extent, but it's much nicer to just automate it and have this sort of nice looking app here that you can just use and give your users or use for yourself in your Airtable base. Yeah, I hope that helped. I hope that makes it clear how to create fully customizable automated reports from Airtable. There are many, many ways of how this can be extended. Please also play around with having ChatGPT or Gemini create a script like this. It certainly can help you quite a lot. It will just potentially lead to certain errors. Usually those errors are in the area of you're trying to pass a data type that isn't supported by the field you're passing, for instance, or the AI has just hallucinated and made up a method that doesn't really exist, which you can always check in the API here, in the scripting API, whether that is even possible, whether that is even a method. There are a few things that sort of go wrong by using AI, but something like this can be generated in a matter of seconds very, very easily, very, very quickly. And this is basically just the tip of the iceberg of what's possible with extensions in Airtable. Like you can, with the scripting extension, you can, as I said before, create really, really powerful apps. I've created order forms with this, really like guiding the user on the right side through a long form, basically, that can be created very, very flexibly by having the entire JavaScript at your disposal in here. Anyways, I stop now. Please subscribe to this channel if you like content like this video. Check out the scripting course below. Check out DocsAutomator. Just show you the website real quick. That's how it looks like. I'm going to link to that as well in the description below. For now, I wish you all the best. Happy automating and speak to you very soon. Bye.